The global hip-hop industry has just crossed into a terrifying, irreversible point of no return, and the explosive digital war zone currently erupting across the internet has left the entire music world in a state of absolute, unmitigated horror. What you're about to witness is not a calculated publicity stunt, a staged internet meme, or a scene from a Hollywood movie. This is the raw, cold-blooded, and frighteningly personal execution of a multi-decade musical legacy, systematically dismantled and weaponized in the public eye. Just hours away from the official global midnight release of T.I.'s highly anticipated final retirement masterpiece, Kill the King, his entire multi-million-dollar rollout has been reduced to absolute ashes. The queen of hip-hop, Nicki Minaj, has officially broken her absolute silence, launching a vicious, late-night counteroffensive that has completely paralyzed the entire industry. An elite security infrastructure has collapsed from the inside, a legendary Southern Kingdom is facing total financial liquidation, and a broken king is preparing for a face-to-face confrontation that will alter the rap map forever. Do not blink, do not pause, and do not turn away, because we are breaking down every single second of the most dangerous betrayal hip-hop has ever seen. To truly comprehend the cataclysmic scale of what just transpired on the digital pavements of Atlanta and New York, we have to peel back over 2 decades of intense hip-hop history, calculated power struggles, and a fragile street code that has just been blown to absolute pieces. Clifford Harris, universally known to the global masses as T.I., has spent 25 years engineering a legacy that defined the modern era of Southern hip-hop. Emerging from the brutal, unforgiving street corners of West Atlanta, he didn't just survive the trap. He corporate packaged it, transformed it into a global export, and proudly crowned himself the undisputed king of the South. He built Grand Hustle into a multi-million-dollar kingdom, transitioned seamlessly into a Hollywood asset, and sold the world an aspirational, family-first reality television brand. T.I. wanted his final chapter in the music industry to be an unassailable monument of dignity. He meticulously designed his 12th and final studio album, Kill the King, to mark a clean, magnificent exit from the rap game that would immortalize his name on his own pristine terms. He believed his legacy was bulletproof, insulated by decades of chart-topping hits and massive corporate alliances. What he completely failed to realize was that in the brutal, hyper-competitive jungle of the hip-hop elite, declaring your own retirement while holding onto a crown is nothing less than an open invitation for an absolute cold-blooded assassination. In this unforgiving digital landscape, a veteran icon's retirement album is a high-stakes, life-or-death gamble. It is the single piece of intellectual property that either solidifies your permanent historical legacy or completely bankrupts your multi-million-dollar catalog if the first week numbers fall flat on their face. Behind the closed doors of the Grand Hustle headquarters, the pressure to deliver an earthquake-level buzz to break through the modern noise was mounting to a literal breaking point. T.I. needed something monumental, a physical and digital declaration of his supreme status that would force the global streaming giants to pay attention. Enter Nicki Minaj, the undisputed queen of hip-hop, who has spent 15 years defending her throne, her choices, her body, and her brand from every single angle. Nicki does not operate like traditional artists. Her empire is backed by the Barbz, a military-grade, global fan base capable of shifting cultural landscapes, manipulating digital algorithms, and destroying corporate infrastructures within minutes. For years, an unspoken, icy Cold War had been simmering between Nicki and T.I. They shared the same industry spaces, sat at the same high-level executive tables, and navigated the same elite circles, but a deep, toxic undercurrent of unresolved competitive malice always lingered just beneath the surface. When T.I. announced the tracklist for Kill the King, industry insiders noticed a mysterious, unlisted track hidden deep within the digital metadata. Rumors began circulating through underground urban blogs that the self-proclaimed King of the South had done the unthinkable. He had stepped into the recording booth and recorded a direct, deeply personal, and venomous sneak diss targeting not just Nicki Minaj, but her husband, Kenneth Petty, and her domestic stability. By choosing to target Nicki's family to generate a viral shockwave for his album sales, T.I. broke the ultimate code of industry survival. He unknowingly handed his greatest rival the exact psychological script needed to dismantle his entire life's work. This toxic dynamic was a ticking time bomb waiting for the ultimate catalyst to detonate into an all-out war for cultural survival. T.I. genuinely believed his legacy would protect his kingdom, but he was playing checkers against a ruthless master of strategy who specializes in burning the entire board down to the ground. The definitive flashpoint that completely shattered Clifford Harris's world did not happen on a public stage, behind the safety of a radio microphone, or during a carefully managed press conference. It happened in the absolute dead of night, at exactly 2:15 a.m., when an unencrypted master audio file of T.I.'s hidden track, titled The Sovereign's Shadow, populated an anonymous online landing page. Within seconds, prominent internet data miners and industry executives realized they weren't looking at a low-quality radio rip or a simple snippet. It was the entire high-fidelity master recording, complete with label metadata. The lyrics were devastating. T.I. didn't just throw standard industry shade. He directly crossed domestic boundaries, taking malicious aim at Nicki Minaj's husband, Kenneth Petty, mocking her family's legal battles and questioning the structural integrity of her household. Check out these highly controversial lines that were leaked from the track. "You claim the crown, but your castle is built on sand / how you running an empire when you can't even lock down your man. / taking shots from the throne, but the paperwork is clear / a queen shouldn't live her life in domestic fear." The disrespect was calculated, explicit, and instantly visible to millions of users who began aggressively downloading the file. The reaction from the Queen's camp was instantaneous and terrifying. Nicki Minaj did not wait for her public relations team to draft a safe, corporate response. She did not issue a generic text statement through her label. Instead, she activated her official channels and launched an unannounced, emergency global live stream. The atmosphere of that broadcast was described by those who tuned in as a scene of pure, chilling psychological warfare. Standing in a dark, heavily secured room at her private estate, her tone wasn't just angry, it was a cold-blooded, precise declaration of structural demolition. Addressing T.I. directly by his real name, Clifford, she looked straight into the camera lens with a piercing gaze that left over 400,000 concurrent viewers completely frozen. She stated that playing with her family's name, crossing the boundaries of her home, and using her household as clickbait for a failing retirement rollout was a sin that carried a total career death penalty. She delivered a brutal 24-hour ultimatum that sent shockwaves straight to the heart of the music industry. She told him that he had exactly 24 hours to scrub that pathetic, disrespectful track from Apple Music, Spotify, and every single physical distribution grid on this planet. She warned him that if that song was still live when this clock hit 0, she would personally unlock her own vault, publishing corporate data, private financial ledgers, and internal studio archives that would completely expose who he really was and liquidate his entire 25-year legacy overnight. The immediate psychological damage inside the Grand Hustle war rooms was catastrophic. Phones were ringing on absolute silence. Multi-million-dollar executives were sweating through their custom suits, and T.I. himself was reportedly pacing his Buckhead study in a state of blinding, uncontainable fury. His adult sons, King and Demony Harris, immediately launched chaotic, defensive counteroffensives on their personal live streams, aggressively screaming into their phone cameras, issuing street-level threats, and demanding retribution against anyone supporting the Queen's camp. Look at these fake Twitter threads and leaked text messages that surfaced immediately after the footage went viral. One leaked text message allegedly intercepted from a prominent Atlanta producer closely allied with the Harris family reads, "Tip is losing his mind right now, putting his elite security grid on high alert and tracking digital markers to an undisclosed location because this isn't a conversation anymore. It is about to go completely left." The tech teams at Grand Hustle launched an immediate, desperate internal audit to trace the exact source of the leak. Assuming an elite external hacking group had breached their corporate cloud storage, they expected to find an IP address originating from a cybercriminal syndicate in Eastern Europe or a high-level digital infiltration masterminded from New York City. The rooms were filled with shouting, desks were cleared, and the pressure to find an answer before the mainstream media picked up the story was suffocating. But that is exactly where the first jaw-dropping, mind-bending twist lands, completely dropping the floor out from under this entire controversy and turning it from a standard rap beef into a terrifying corporate thriller. When the forensic digital researchers traced the network origin of the master file extraction, they did not find a security breach from an outside network. The highly classified digital logs revealed that the master files were accessed using a unique administrative account deeply embedded inside the financial infrastructure of Grand Hustle Records itself. Someone on TI's payroll, someone with high-level access to the company's inner operational network, had intentionally handed the unreleased audio files directly to the public link. But it gets even crazier. As the emergency internal audit deepened, investigators uncovered a hidden directive trail attached to that very administrative account. It wasn't a disgruntled employee, and it wasn't a corporate spy. The digital trail led directly back to a mandate issued from the upper echelon of the label's executive suite. T.I. himself had secretly authorized the calculated leak of his own track hours before the official release. It was a manufactured crisis, a high-stakes, desperate marketing stunt designed to create an explosive internet controversy, weaponize a fake beef against Nicki Minaj's family, and guarantee an unprecedented streaming surge for his retirement album, Kill the King. T.I. fully believed he could control the narrative, spark a standard musical debate, and ride the viral wave straight to a #1 debut. What he completely failed to anticipate was that the Queen would bypass the music booth entirely, launch a corporate blockade, and threaten an archive exposure that could send his entire kingdom into absolute, irreversible liquidation. His calculated chess move had instantly transformed into a public execution of his own legacy, leaving his entire family completely vulnerable to the wrath of an unstoppable empire. As the realization of T.I.'s self-inflicted marketing trap sent the Grand Hustle inner circle into an absolute downward spiral, the digital landscape outside their burning castle completely mutated into a full-scale corporate warfare zone. You see, the internet didn't just react to the news, it broke. Within 3 hours of Nicki Minaj's live-streamed ultimatum, major social media servers began experiencing unprecedented system overloads. TikTok feeds were completely blanketed by the Barbz tracking every piece of digital metadata, while over on X, a massive digital shockwave generated over 4 million individual posts in less than 6 hours. The algorithms completely collapsed under the weight of the drama, pinning fans into an unyielding cage of suspense. Verified industry insiders were launching unannounced, frantic live broadcasts from their home studios, desperate to decode the unfolding chaos before the global midnight hour. Look at these leaked screenshots from private, invite-only group chats that began circulating on underground urban blogs. One prominent Atlanta music executive close to the situation explicitly stated that legal injunctions were entirely useless at this point because thousands of mirror proxy servers had already mirrored the unreleased audio files across the globe. The economic foundation of T.I.'s entire 25-year empire was actively cracking in real time, and the industry backlash was shifting from a standard rap feud into a total corporate annihilation. Media mastermind DJ Academics went live to an emergency audience of over 150,000 concurrent viewers, frantically screaming into his microphone that this was the single most dangerous financial hit the Southern rap scene had ever witnessed. He warned his audience that corporate assets were freezing, public monuments of a legacy were being defaced, and that real-world legal vultures were circling the Grand Hustle estate. Moments later, the legendary Rick Ross poured absolute gasoline on the digital flames during an intense, mocking early-morning radio interview in Atlanta. Ross was seen laughing hysterically, stating that when you start talking about structural blockades and an independent empire getting turned into a public circus, the entire temperature of the game changes completely. He emphasized that this was no longer standard entertainment, but a calculated execution with permanent, devastating consequences for everyone involved. But while the public was frantically debating these celebrity reactions, a secondary, completely unexpected corporate bombshell dropped that fundamentally altered the gravity of this war and dropped the floor out from under T.I.'s legal defense teams. High-level intelligence leaked highly classified legal correspondence from deep within the music industry's banking corridors, revealing the second, Terrifying twist that nobody saw coming. The $40 million master distribution and catalog acquisition contract that T.I. had been quietly negotiating to fund his permanent retirement wasn't just frozen by an outside board of directors. The unredacted financial filings revealed that the global technology and streaming conglomerate offering the deal was actually a front organization, a highly complex shell corporation secretly funded and controlled by none other than Curtis 50 Cent Jackson's multi-billion-dollar media empire. Yes, you heard that correctly. 50 Cent didn't just manipulate the leak. He literally orchestrated the financial trap from the very beginning. T.I. had unknowingly spent months negotiating the sell-off of his life's work to his fiercest historical rival. By authorizing the fake leak to boost his rollout numbers, T.I. had inadvertently triggered the exact emergency brand liability clauses that 50 Cent's lawyers had hidden deep within the legal paperwork. The financial paralysis was instantaneous and absolute. 50 Cent's corporate entity immediately activated a total freeze on Grand Hustle's operational bank accounts, leaving T.I. completely locked out of his own financial infrastructure just hours before his final retirement curtain call. The sheer psychological horror of realizing your worst enemy now holds the legal keys to your entire 25-year catalog sent a literal chill down the spine of every major artist in the music industry. Out of pure, unadulterated terror of being dragged into a toxic, radioactive legal disaster, multiple prominent A-list artists who were confirmed as guest features on Kill the King began privately instructing their attorneys to issue emergency cease and desist orders to Grand Hustle. They demanded their vocals, verses, and credits be scrubbed from any future official release before the entire corporate ship sank to the bottom of the ocean. Production houses froze their master beats, public relations firms issued total media blackouts, and the entire marketing syndication for T.I.'s final masterpiece degenerated into an absolute hazard zone that no major brand dared to touch. T.I. was left completely isolated in his Buckhead estate, watching his empire vanish in real time. But just as his team scrambled in a state of absolute midnight panic to find a loophole, a chilling new weapon emerged from the dark web that has left the entire culture completely paralyzed with anticipation. A pitch-black landing page suddenly appeared on a primary G-Unit affiliate server containing no promotional text, only a high-definition image of a shattered gold crown dripping with blood and a crimson digital countdown timer relentlessly ticking away the seconds toward the 0 hour. This raises a bone-chilling new question that has the entire industry shivering in fear. If 50 Cent already controls the financial masters and Nicki Minaj holds the industry's secrets to unleash total career destruction, what exactly is that blood-red countdown clock automated to release to the global public when it hits absolute zero tonight? To better understand the absolute ruthlessness of Curtis Jackson's corporate takedown tactics and how he uses master assets as leverage, check out this interview with 50 Cent on exposed footage, which highlights the exact psychological blueprint he uses to dismantle legacies from behind the scenes. The digital landscape has completely fractured into a lawless arena of unhinged ideological warfare, collapsing under the sheer, brutal weight of raw public emotion. An absolute cultural civil war has erupted online, pitting multi-generational street purists against an unstoppable new army of modern digital outlaws, and you can practically feel the heat through your screens right now. Within seconds of the news dropping, the music ecosystem shattered down the middle, forcing every single fan to pick their fighter in a battle where traditional boundaries no longer exist. On one side of this vicious divide stands the total mobilization of the Barbz military-grade fanbase, striking back with absolute, calculated malice under the unified banner of #QueenControl. They didn't just flood the comment sections, they systematically hijacked T.I.'s entire official rollout infrastructure. They began mass reporting his pre-save links, intentionally glitching streaming platform algorithms, and flooding the internet with savage, unhinged memes mocking Grand Hustle's frozen financial accounts. A top-voted comment from a prominent urban culture forum captured over 300,000 interactions in less than 20 minutes, stating, "Clifford really thought he could use Nicki's family as a marketing prop to save a dying retirement album. He forgot that the Queen doesn't play by booth rules. She plays by corporate execution rules." Now his $40 million deal is turned to absolute dust, and his own house is burning from the inside. This is master-level checkmate. Has mobilized under the banner of #StandWithTheKing. They are aggressively weaponizing T.I.'s legendary multi-platinum catalog, arguing that lyrical warfare is the absolute bedrock of hip-hop culture. They are screaming that running to corporate tech boards, freezing bank accounts, and enforcing streaming embargoes is a soft, corporate strategy that destroys the artistic soul of the genre. They are demanding a permanent industry boycott of Nicki's future projects, calling her tactics a violation of the sacred street code. The industry backlash has escalated from a localized internet feud into a full-scale corporate crisis for the hip-hop elite. Media mastermind DJ Academics went live to an emergency audience of over 150,000 concurrent viewers, frantically screaming into his microphone that this was the single most dangerous financial hit the Southern rap scene had ever witnessed in decades. Academics warned his audience that corporate entities are panicking, public monuments of a 25-year legacy are being defaced in real time, and real-world legal vultures are actively dismantling the grand hustle camp piece by piece. Moments later, the legendary Rick Ross poured absolute petrol on the flames during a chilling early-morning live broadcast in Atlanta, laughing uncontrollably while openly asking 50 Cent's team where he could buy the master liquidation files, visibly enjoying the absolute chaos. Major Southern radio syndicates have enacted an immediate, quiet blackout on all of T.I.'s music out of sheer terror that broadcasting his voice could incite physical retaliation outside their headquarters. Elite club promoters across Atlanta are rapidly canceling VIP tables for anyone affiliated with either entourage, entirely altering the city's nightlife landscape overnight. Look at your screens right now and ask yourself, has the music industry completely lost its moral soul, or is this just the ultimate evolution of absolute, unchecked corporate survival? The division is growing wider with every single second that passes, forcing everyone to pick a side in a war where the ultimate price is total reputational extinction. But if you think a frozen contract, a compromised final rollout, and the terrifying sound of an inner circle collapsing are the absolute peak of this psychological thriller, you are completely and utterly wrong. Prepare yourselves, because we have just arrived at the absolute catastrophic core of this digital execution. A final, mind-bending twist has just dropped that completely flips the script on who is controlling this war, leaving the entire global music community permanently paralyzed with raw terror. As T.I.'s high-powered legal team scrambled in a state of absolute midnight panic to intercept Nicki Minaj's corporate blockade, a fatal administrative error occurred. A single unredacted page from a sealed federal court filing was accidentally uploaded to a public database for less than 60 seconds. But 60 seconds was all it took for digital forensic researchers to capture a detail so deeply sinister has sent a literal chill down the spine of every major artist in the industry. The countdown timer ticking away on the G-Unit affiliate server didn't drop a hidden song or a private phone call when it hit zero. It released a fully verified, biometrically signed corporate alliance contract. The inside actor, who physically leaked the master security codes, handed over the administrative bypass signatures and allowed Nicki Minaj and 50 Cent to freeze Grand Hustle's $40 million empire, was none other than T.I.'s own 21-year-old son, King Harris. The psychological horror of this ultimate family betrayal has left the streets of Atlanta in an absolute state of grief and shock. Insider intelligence has just confirmed that following his catastrophic felony arrest earlier this year involving his custom-wrapped vehicle, the young aspiring artist felt completely abandoned by his father's public disciplinary stance and corporate defense priorities. Facing severe time in a state penitentiary, King Harris was reportedly approached in total secrecy by high-level corporate fixers acting on behalf of 50 Cent's multi-billion-dollar streaming network. The deal they offered the young man was completely cold-blooded. In exchange for utilizing his household administrative credentials to clear the digital security perimeters for Nicki Minaj's midnight counteroffensive, King Harris would receive an unmatchable independent recording contract with G-Unit Records alongside the most elite corporate defense attorneys in New York City to ensure his felony charges are completely wiped from his record. The son literally traded his father's lifelong legacy to buy his own freedom and secure a permanent seat at his father's worst enemy's table. But the drama gets infinitely more terrifying. The emergency high-stakes midnight meeting at the heavily fortified warehouse on the dark outskirts of Atlanta? It was an absolute setup. While T.I. and his heavily armed private tactical security teams were busy setting up a military-grade perimeter around an empty building, federal marshals and corporate liquidators were physically entering the Grand Hustle headquarters under the authority of Nicki Minaj's newly filed emergency racketeering injunction. They have officially seized every single master drive, physical server, and digital backup of Kill the King. As we speak, a chilling 15-second video clip has just been leaked from inside that dark warehouse. T.I. is seen standing completely alone in the center of an empty floor, staring at a single television monitor left behind by 50 Cent's psychological blitz team. The screen shows a live feed of Nicki Minaj smiling, uttering a final phrase that will echo through hip-hop history forever. "The game is over, Clifford. You brought my family into your rollout, so I took your entire kingdom." The footage instantly cuts to a brand new, blood-red digital clock ticking down from 12 hours. The subtext is clear. The true destruction hasn't even peaked yet. What happens to the Harris family when that secondary clock hits zero and the encrypted audio logs of T.I. confronting his own son leak to the public? This is a complete and absolute catastrophe, and we need to hear your voice right now down in the comment section below. Did King Harris commit the ultimate family sin by trading his father's 25-year legacy for his own freedom? Or did T.I. bring this absolute ruin upon himself by weaponizing Nicki's family for a cheap marketing stunt? Are you standing with the broken king under hashtag #StandWithTheKing? Or are you riding with the absolute corporate execution of the Queen's alliance under hashtag #QueenControl? Flood the comments right now because we are actively monitoring your responses this very second. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on all access notifications immediately so you do not miss our emergency live breakdown the exact millisecond that brand new 12-hour clock hits absolute zero. Stay locked in and do not look away.